Hey friends, and welcome back to a new video dedicated to Poppy Playtime. Today we're finally diving into one of the most awaited topics of the last months. When will Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 be released? It's time to analyze every clue, every detail, and especially the new pattern that Mob Entertainment is following for this chapter. Yes, because unlike the previous chapters, this time Mob Entertainment is moving in a very different way. Their marketing strategies, their reveal timing, everything is following a completely new rhythm, and this heavily affects the possible release date. In today's video, we'll try to connect the dots, compare old release schedules with the new tactics, and build together a detailed theory about when we might truly get our hands on the new chapter. We're going to talk about their latest moves, their patterns from past years, their development timing, and even some hidden signals that many people haven't noticed. It's a really complete analysis, so stay with me until the end because we might actually reach a release window way more precise than you think. And as always, before we begin, remember to leave a like on the video because it helps me a lot in bringing more content like this. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you want to stay updated on all the news, theories, and breakdowns related to about Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. Let's begin with the theories and analysis. First of all, we need to start with some essential premises. Because only by comparing what happened in the past can we understand the current behavior of Mob Entertainment. As we clearly remember, Poppy Playtime Chapter 4 was released at the end of January. But that launch did not go smoothly at all. The chapter was full of errors, glitches, and all sorts of technical problems. And in fact, on Steam, many negative reviews appeared in the very first days because of these bugs. Many players couldn't even progress, others experienced constant crashes. For this reason, Mob Entertainment does not want to repeat the same mistake. This time, they are dedicating much more time to polishing, quality control, and the overall stability of the game. They want to be absolutely sure that Chapter 5 reaches players with as few issues as possible. And this, inevitably, is already a first factor that extends the development time and directly affects the release date. But there is another detail that is often ignored, yet extremely important. Last October, Zach, the CEO of Mob Entertainment, publicly stated that the team had reached a development milestone in record time, compared to the planned release date. And this sentence, said like that, may seem simple, but if we analyze it carefully, it tells us something very interesting. Mob Entertainment already has an internal release date. They already know exactly when the game is supposed to come out. It means their schedule is already set, and they are not moving blindly. However, even if they already have a set date, that doesn't mean the release is close. On the contrary, considering the particular pattern they are following for Chapter 5, which is very different from the pace of previous chapters, and keeping in mind their intention to avoid a second Chapter 4 situation, the most logical conclusion is that we should not expect an imminent release. Many people are hoping for a quick launch, but by carefully observing the clues, the communication strategy, and the slower and more cautious development times, it seems much more likely that we will have to wait quite a while before we finally get our hands on Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. And this is only the beginning of our analysis. Now let's move on to a fundamental point of our analysis. The current pattern that Mob Entertainment is following for Chapter 5. As we know, the new chapter was officially announced in the autumn. On October 31st, Mob Entertainment released the very first teaser trailer along with the Steam page. But the hints had already started earlier. Between September and October, several official images were published, giving us a first taste of the atmosphere and themes of the chapter. So far, everything seems normal. Chapters 3 and 4 were also announced during the autumn, but this time the pattern is completely different. When they announced Chapter 3, the ARG was already in full progress, and the same happened with Chapter 4, where the ARG was active. But now we're facing a completely different situation. The ARG for Chapter 5 hasn't started yet, and this is truly unusual because October and November have always been the most active months for the entire Poppy Playtime ARG. They've always been the months full of clues, hidden messages, audio files, and all sorts of mysterious content. But this year, absolute silence. No ARG, no updated websites, no encrypted messages, nothing. So we can consider two possibilities. Either there won't be an ARG for this chapter, meaning the Mob team has decided to change the approach completely. Or the ARG will happen, but it's simply not the right time yet. And honestly, the second option is the most likely. Knowing how mob entertainment works and how much they rely on mystery and parallel storytelling, it's very hard to imagine the final chapter because yes, this should be the concluding one without an ARG. So, most likely the ARG will happen and it will begin exactly at the moment it's meant to begin, following a completely different timing compared to the past. And this choice once again shows that the mob team is planning everything with a slower, more calculated rhythm, and that the release date may be further away than most people expect. Let's move on to the next part. Now it's finally time to bring all these elements together to figure out when Chapter 5 might be released. As we've seen, the Steam pages for Chapters 3 and 4 were announced during autumn, exactly like this time, and in both cases, the chapters were later released at the end of January. Chapter 3 on January 30th, 2024. Chapter 4 on January 30th, 2025. Following this pattern, some people might assume that Chapter 5 will automatically come out on January 30th, 2026. But honestly, this time it's hard to imagine the mob entertainment team following that same date. Their behavior is completely different from what we saw in the past. This year they're following a much slower and more deliberate pattern, and we can clearly see that for several reasons. For example, in previous years, during the autumn period, Mob Entertainment had already started showing some of the new characters of the upcoming chapter. But this time, they haven't revealed a single character yet. And as we said before, the ARG hasn't started either. In previous years, between October and November, we were already fully into the clues, the interactive PC, the secret emails, and all the cryptic hints. But this year, nothing. For this reason, estimating a precise date right now is impossible. But we can estimate a possible period based on everything we've analyzed so far. If we assume that the ARG might finally begin in December, then it could last around 2 or 3 months, just like in previous years. In that case, the ARG would likely end around January or February. And as we know, chapter releases always happen a few months after the ARG ends, during the period when the trailers, reveals, and final promotions intensify. So, based on the current pattern, the most logical prediction is this. Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 could be released starting from March, likely during the spring season. Of course, remember that these are just theories, built by comparing previous release patterns with the current behavior of the developers. Between December and January, we might finally see new teasers, new images, and maybe even the official reveal of the main characters of Chapter 5. And from there, we'll definitely have much clearer clues. But for now, a spring release window is the most believable one. As always, we will keep monitoring every little hint, every teaser, and every update from Mob Entertainment so we can figure out together what awaits us. Please, stay tuned because as soon as important news arrives, I'll make another video dedicated to it. If you enjoyed the video, leave a big like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any theories, leaks, or new analysis about Poppy Playtime and all the horror games we follow every day together. Thank you so much for watching the video until the end. You are amazing as always. See you next time. Bye bye and see you soon.